Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another family meeting. I just pressed the record button because the replay of this family meeting, like I've been doing now for the past few months, will be on YouTube, on the YouTube channel for Curious Neuron. Welcome. I see that there are a few new people and we're still waiting for others to trickle in. I'm going to start anyways. And like I said, the replay will be on the YouTube channel. There are a few new people. I'm so happy to have you here. I guess play is really important to you. This is usually a comment, not a comment, but a popular topic. And if you do follow me on Instagram, all week I will be posting about play. And the reason why is because this week I have a sale for my parent play camp. I'll be giving you a quick look into the parent play camp and to thank you for coming on to this family meeting. As you know, I announced today that I'm giving 25% off for the play camp, but for you guys here tonight at the family meeting, I will be giving you 35% off. I'll put the code in the chat box near the end or halfway through this webinar because I'll show you the stuff first. And anyways, we'll get to it very soon. I'd like to give you a layout of how we go about these family meetings. The first part is parental wellness. So I take a few minutes to talk about mental health and wellness. And we were talking last week about our inner voice. I'll talk about it very quickly after. Then we'll go into the play or the main topic of the evening, which is all about supporting our child's development through play. And the last part is a Q&A and a place, a safe space where we can ask questions. You can come on with your camera and talk to me. You could just turn on your mic and speak to me. You can post a question privately or for everyone to see in the chat box. It is up to you, but I turn the camera off at that point. That is not a section that goes up on YouTube or is recorded because I do want to have a space where you guys could discuss any issues that you're having or any feelings that you have. If you have a newborn and are feeling that you're questioning whether or not you do have postpartum depression or anxiety, the last part of this webinar is for you to open up and to ask your questions. So here we go with the first part. For those of you who were there last week, you did have homework. We went through a book. I just want to see. Yes. We went through a book that I have called Chatter by a researcher that I interviewed for my podcast. The episode is up on iTunes if ever you want to listen to the episode. His name is Ethan Kross. And he goes through, I think, 25 different things that we can do to change our inner voice. So that sort of negative self-talk. I'm not going to go through everything we spoke about last week. You can find that replay up on YouTube if you'd like to watch it. But for homework, we did have one little task, and that was changing how we speak to ourselves in our mind. So basically what the goal was, instead of saying your name in a moment where you're being a bit negative with yourself, like, oh, Cindy, why did you do that? It was changing it to use your name instead of saying I. Like, why am I doing this? Why am I thinking that? Why didn't I? So instead of doing that, to change it to using your name. Why did Cindy do that? Why did Cindy not respond that way when the person said that to me? So changing that little thing has been shown in research to make a difference in our own self-compassion. And as I said, the first part of this family meeting is really to be mindful of what we're doing and as parents, because that contributes to our well-being, of course, and our mental health. There's a book that I had also introduced last week, and I told you that we would get into it this week. It's called the Mindfulness-Based Emotional Balance Workbook. That is a mouthful. But I've been going through this. I've been working through this. As some of you know, I believe that working on ourselves is a journey. It's a lot of work, but for the past few years now, I would say two really are more intense than the others. I've truly been trying to work on myself through therapy and through these workbooks that I've purchased, and being more mindful of how I'm speaking to myself in my head. It was negative. It's getting better now, much better, but there still are moments, right, where we are hard on ourselves. And the reason why I'm speaking about that openly is because I do believe strongly that when we start working on ourselves, we become a better parent, because we become our better version of ourselves, and we become a better parent for a child. And then we're modeling all of this for them as well. So it's something that I really think we should be working on. Of course, if you need help with this as well and want me to guide you with what I'm doing and with what I've learned through the research, like you saw on Sunday, I posted the 5 tips that I've learned from research, and part of it is working on yourself. It's really something that has made a difference in my home. Now, I wanted to work on an activity very quickly with you guys today. There's something that they discuss about noticing unpleasant feelings. So most of us were raised in a way that you don't really learn how to deal with unpleasant emotions. You could be told to like brush it off, like, why are you sad? Or, it depends how our parents were raised, and it depends how they raise us. Maybe they didn't know how to deal with uncomfortable emotions. Maybe even the male figures in our environment never dealt with emotions. So it means that we become parents, and then one day our child has a tantrum and we have to teach them how to deal with this unpleasant emotion. However, we don't know how to do it because we were never told how. We were never taught how to deal with unpleasant emotions. You could chat with us in the chat box. Also, if you want, let me know if this is something that you can relate to. You could just say yes. I forgot at the beginning to say that you can chat and say hi. Let us know where you're from if this is your first time. You can also let us know how old your child is, so that way I can provide you with examples later on if you'd like. So yeah, learning how to deal with unpleasant emotions. I will not be able to teach you all of that in a few minutes. However, here is your homework for next week. I would like you to just notice unpleasant emotions. It could be in your home. It could be with a family member. It could be at work. When you are experiencing an unpleasant emotion, whether somebody said something and it really gets to you, or a spouse that says something and it's upsetting you, don't react or respond right away. Take a moment to notice the unpleasant emotion and think about what's happening with your physical self. Is your heart beating faster? Did you start flicking fingers or tapping your foot on the floor? Did you clench your jaw? Did you feel your palms get sweaty? What is happening in that moment when you are feeling an unpleasant emotion? So here I'm just reading the notes. It talks about when this is part of becoming mindful, and when we become mindful, we're able to regulate our emotions a lot better, because it's not that if somebody says something to us that upsets us, it's not like we're going to magically make it okay. We're not ignoring those unpleasant emotions. We're learning to sit with them. And that's super uncomfortable for most of us, even for myself. It's not something that we're used to doing. We like good emotions. We like feeling happy. But when we're in an unpleasant emotion, what do? Right? So think about having a hard day at work, I guess pre-COVID. What do? You call a friend, perhaps. You call a colleague and say, hey, you want to grab a drink after? I had a rough day. That means that you were not dealing with the unpleasant emotions. That means that we are finding a way to kind of push that negative emotion away. Think about when you're at home. I'm going to talk about myself right now. Again, let me know if you could relate to this. If I'm feeling an unpleasant emotion, or when I was, and still do sometimes, feel that unpleasant emotion, I gravitate to doing something that makes me happy or feels good, which might be eating something, eating a sweet, or having an extra coffee that day, because that is my time. But again, now that I'm aware of this, I try not to do that. And I try to sit with that emotion. Why am I feeling this way? How am I feeling? And I noticed after I had my second child, I had days where by the end of the day, I noticed that my jaw was hurting, but I hadn't noticed when I was doing it or when it was happening. And like I told you a couple of years ago, I started working on all of this. And that's when I realized, when I was noticing unpleasant emotions, and instead of getting upset at something right away and yelling, I would take that moment to notice. And that's when I realized, because I had not realized, that I clench my jaw when I'm upset. Anybody here clench their jaw? Am I the only one? So that really was an eye opener to me. So when we start to notice unpleasant feelings, it changes everything. This is only the first step. It's a very small step to making a big difference in how we regulate our emotions. But again, this is just one little tool that I want to give you. So again, your homework for this, did I say week? No, it's a whole month, because we meet every Monday, the first Monday of every month. So this month, your homework is, if you haven't done it last month, stop saying I when you're talking in your mind, use your name. And if you want to add today's homework, I want you to, let's say your toddler or your child does something, spills milk, or says something to you, talks back to you. Even if this happens with your spouse or a family member, take a breath, and during that breath, notice what the unpleasant emotions are, and take that moment before reacting. So this is something I had spoken about on Instagram, maybe last year, where you're creating a space between the action. So let's say your toddler having a tantrum and your reaction. And during that time, it's not just waiting, but it's that inner voice and that noticing, that time to notice. And next month, then we'll move on to the next step. And I hope that this information is helpful to you so far if this is your first family meeting. Hi, Maggie, welcome. Maggie's from Texas and has a 2-year-old. Thank you, I appreciate that. I hope you could fit this into your schedule. And like I said, the replays are on YouTube now. I wasn't doing that before, but there are a few replays if you'd like to watch them. I love that you want to work on improving yourself and as well. For those of you, so tonight I'll give you a coupon code. I have to look it up. I'll give you a coupon code for the parent play camp after we look at it. But Maggie, if ever you're interested, this week as well, the Better Me, Better Parent program, it used to be an ebook. I transferred it to the academy that we now have, the Curious Neuron Academy. And what I've done is I've created a program out of it, and I'm going to be adding videos and guiding you to what I do is I work at, there are 6 chapters in this program, or 6 parts. First, we remind ourselves, who are we? What do we like? Because I don't know about you guys, but after I had kids, I kind of had to remember the things. I had to remind myself, not remember, what made me happy, what brought me joy, because all of my attention was going to what makes my family happy, what makes my kids happy. And then we forget about ourselves. And then that trickles down to poor mental health and well-being. And that's when I started seeing a therapist, because I realized, no, sorry, I did not realize, that's a lie. My husband realized that I had changed. And that's when I realized I needed to take care of myself. So I hope that this information is helpful to you. And if you need more help, there's the Better Me, Better Parent that walks you through finding out what's important to you. Who do you want to be as a parent? How did your past, because how we are parented impacts fully, almost, how we parent our child. Sometimes in ways that we are aware of, and sometimes in ways that we are not aware of. So if there was a lack of connection and empathy in the way that we were parented, we might parent the opposite, or in full-blown love, and, well, not the love part, but the connection, overly, being there way too much for a child, not letting them take risks, not having any boundaries. So that kind of parenting style leads to a child not understanding boundaries. And anyway, so all of that is in the book. And then there's a whole chapter on compassion and mindfulness, and another chapter on the parent-child relationship. So just wanted to let you know. All right, let's get into play. That's the fun part. Today's whole topic is 5 ways to support your child's development through play. Play in the science literature has been spoken about as being just as important as attachment. So if you follow me and other parenting accounts, you know that attachment, that connection that we build with our child, has everything to do with how they will grow up to, or their social emotional skills, and how those skills will develop. So somebody who did not have a strong attachment with their parents when they were very young, it could be because of neglect, it could be because of trauma within the home, or that parent in themselves not having been raised in a way that there was an attachment created. Unfortunately, later on, that could be our generation, we end up not building strong relationships with people because we don't know how, we didn't learn that, and our brain wasn't wired that way. So attachment, as you know, is really important. Second to that is play. I think it was the American Association of Pediatrics has this whole article, and not an article, but sort of like an article of some sort that talks about how important play is for a child's development. So we kind of forget about that. What does play mean? It's different things. It could be letting our child roam and be bored and roam around the house and find something to do. But we often in our society now just link play to toys, but there's so much more to play than just the toys that are in the environment. And part of the parent play camp that I have in the academy talks about using items around your home. So the first of the 5 tips that I have for you is simplifying your play space. If you haven't done this already tonight, it's, we'll be done by 9:30. Take everything out of the play space, hide as much as you can, and only put, I don't know, it depends between the children, but put like 4 to 5 different types of toys. So if they have lots of toy cars, put 1 or 2, that's one type. If they have magnetic tiles or building blocks, don't put the huge basket, bring it down a little bit, a little basket. If they have pretend play items, a tea set and a restaurant set and I don't know, a pizza making set, a bakery set, whatever it is, that's too many of the same type. Take a small tray, a serving tray that you have in your home, if you have one, and just place like the milk, a teacup, a little muffin, and that's it. And a notepad. We'll get to that after. Place that on the shelf. Try to bring it down as much as you can, because there have been studies that show that the fewer toys that are in a child's environment, the more likely they are to be focused on the toy that they're playing with and play longer. And that helps support concentration. And that's something that's very, very important for school. So minimizing the toys in the child's environment is really important. I always like to connect that to opening a fridge that is filled with food and leftovers. Sometimes, I don't know if it's ever happened to you, where you're super hungry and you open the fridge and it's filled with leftovers or foods that you're like, oh my gosh, there's so much, I don't know what I want. Or you could be at a restaurant and you were really excited to go out to the restaurant. You open up the menu and there are way too many choices. And all of a sudden you're like, but they have Italian, they have Greek, they have, I don't know, all different types of foods, Mexican, and now I have no idea what I want anymore. I thought this was an Italian restaurant and they have everything, but do I want tacos or pasta? I kind of want both now, to the point that I don't want to eat anymore. I'm not excited anymore. So minimizing the toys in our child's environment is really important to help them focus on something. When we have bins, so the shelving unit that I have behind me is what I have in their play space. And I do have some bins, right? Because sometimes what I have for me is in our home is one bin is pretend play. Another bin, it has, I'm looking because I'm looking at them. One bin has puzzles. One bin has sensory items, for example. So all of those bins are placed high at the top of their shelves, but at their level, it's only a few toys, because then at that point, I know that they can mix and match what they see and they can play with that. And what's in the bins, I don't want them to be able to access that, because from experience, and I don't know if you could give me a thumbs up. I think you can do that if you click on reactions. If there are bins filled with stuff, our kids will dump them on the floor, right? I've experienced that with all my 3 kids. For those of you who don't know me, I have a 2, a 4, and a 6-year-old, and they just dump bins upside down. So I've learned not to have bins in their environment. I do it once in a while if I have a call or a consultation with somebody and during the day, and I have to keep them entertained for a long period of time, I will bring that bin, a bin of whatever kind of toys, all their cars or all their animal figurines. But most of the time, I'll only put a few in their environment. Number 1, it's also easy to clean up. And number 2, it's easy for them to put away. So it's easy for me to clean up if it's the end of the day and they forgot, or if they have to do it, it's much simpler to say, you put the 3 animals or 4 animals back on the shelf versus pick up all those toys and put them away. That's overwhelming for a child. So that's my first tip for you. The second one is replacing toys with items that you have around the house. That is gold. It really, really is. And you have to let me know if you do this week and what difference it makes. Let me know the difference that it makes within your house and if playtime was extended. So for example, again, going back to the pretend play items, I try to have as many pretend play items in my child's environment. So, but for me, pretend play is not having all the toys. So right now on the shelf, I pointed up because that's where their main play space is. On the shelf, I have a serving tray from my own kitchen, and I have their tea set. That is on their shelf. Beside that is a notepad, is a stamp, and a pen, because I'm extending the play, right? Instead of just pretending to pour them the tea and put the little sugar and stir it, I'm adding to their play. I'm extending it by offering a notepad where they have to come see me and take my order. I also have silicone muffin tins, or whatever they're called, because again, that is the tea set and baking and so on. So they take my order. There's a notepad because they're going to take the order, and then there's a stamp because they might say, okay, this will cost you $3, and they might stamp it to, finalize the payment. And I have a little wallet as well that usually stays in the play area with some poker chips that I found at the dollar store here in Montreal, and that is our pretend money. And it works really well because they learn how to count. Can I have $1? Can I have $2? I'll give them the money. I'll ask them, did I give you $2? Sometimes I might give one instead of two. That's for my younger child. And it's a really fun way to play with them. This type of pretend play really lasts a long time. I suggest if you have old purses, old wallets, old makeup bags, trays, divided trays, go to your parents or your in-laws. There's got to be an old tray there somewhere. Those divided trays with the dip part in the middle and then the sections, those trays are amazing because you can place Play-Doh at the center and then different items all around, like googly eyes and pipe cleaners and Play-Doh scissors or a rolling pin, all in the different sections. It makes it more fun and inviting for a child. You could cut up little pieces of paper and place that at the center and add stickers and stamps and hole punchers in all the different sections, some glue and glitter if you dare go the glitter route. I would recommend that you're there if you do want to add glitter. I have 2 boys and a daughter, so the glitter only comes out when the boys are napping. So that would be a second tip for you. So really trying to include items from around the house. And just to tell you, I haven't bought toys, like kid toys, in a really long time. We're lucky enough that our family members buy toys and wooden toys for our kids, like the rainbow that I have behind me. However, what I buy for my kids are usually things from the dollar store. Like the other day, I bought, not the other day. During the summer, I bought a bunch of paintbrushes because we were taking bowls with water and painting cement walls. I've bought like little sponges that I've cut in pieces that we have to do an obstacle course and take a piece of the sponge and dump it into a container. I buy so much at the dollar store. They should sponsor Curious Neuron. If you're watching, please sponsor me. But just to say, the dollar store is where I buy all my toys. All right. Don't focus on the third tip is not to focus on complicated activities. I know that it is easy to go onto Instagram and see all these really lovely activities where they're mixing the colors with the shaving cream, or they're building this beautiful, I don't know, it's autumn now, like this tree with the different colors and the paint, and you go pick up the leaves and then you paint them and you stamp it and it's gorgeous. The reality is, if this doesn't work within your home, it's okay. You're not failing your child. It's not the type of play that will make them succeed. It's fun, but I don't want you to put guilt on yourselves to feel that you have to do those types of activities. Here's what we do in our home. So when I had one child, by the way, I did do those activities. They were a lot of fun, but I had time to clean up. Now with 3 kids, being with them all day, having some meetings during the day, and then working nighttime like I am now, there is no time to clean up those messes. So the type of play I try to think of, I have certain categories, and I teach these categories in the parent play camp. And the categories involve pretend play, free play, focused play, what else physical play. So having an idea of the type of play rather than an activity makes it easier for me. So if we wake up in the morning and I notice, if you heard that yell, I'm sorry, that is my toddler. So if you, forgot what I was saying. Oh yeah. So if you wake up in the morning and you're like, okay, I noticed that my kids have a lot of energy right now. what do I do? You're not going to sit down and say like, let's paint, because it's not going to work. So keeping that in mind and keeping those categories in mind, I could quickly say obstacle course, we need to move or go outside for a walk or go for a bike ride. But if we can't do that and it's raining, I need to get them to move. All right, what are we going to do? Let's put the table chairs stuck together and then put a blanket on top. So we've created a tunnel. Let's take, if you have a toddler, let's put some pillows on the floor. Something that I should have brought that with me, painter's tape or electrical tape. Although I think I recommend painter's tape a lot more. Electrical tape, I've noticed, gets stuck a little bit more. Let's say painter's tape. I always have painter's tape around, and I might put out a line down on my floor. I might make a box with the painter's tape on the floor. All right, so what's the activity? It's an obstacle course. What do? I tell them the instructions. You're going to jump into the square, pretend there's water all around you, and then jump onto the line and walk on a straight line. Be careful, don't fall into the water. Now let's go under. Let's crawl under the dining room table chairs. Go under. Okay, watch the blanket. Come out of it. Now run around the kitchen table. Run. Back. You're the winner. Okay, we got that energy out. That was my physical play. Zero thought went into that. Or I might say, give me 5 animal figurines. All right, I'm going to take your giraffe. I'm going to take your cow. I'm going to take your horse. I'm going to take a whale and a shark. You see, I have 5. I'm going to go hide them in the house and let's play scavenger hunt. All right, go hide them. All right, buddy, you ready? You have to find all 5 animals. Okay, go. Press the coffee machine button if you need a moment to yourself. And while your child finds the toys, first of all, they had to remember, how many toys did my mom hide or my dad hide? And what were they? There was a shark, there was a whale, there was a giraffe. That is a huge activity for cognitive skills. That's working memory. And executive functions when you have to remember the rules. So this type of play supports development, 100%. Let me know if you're enjoying this. Does everybody still here? That's good. All right, so the next one is scaffolding. Oh, I have an image for you here. Just say yes in the chat if you're enjoying this. Let me see. I want to share my screen with you because I'd like to show you now a part of the parent play camp. So you should be able to see my screen. I want to switch this and make this a little bit bigger. All right, so this is part 3 of the parent play camp. In this section of the course, oh, I see somebody in the chat box. Yes, okay, thanks, Maggie. In this section of the course, I talk about scaffolding. And let me just show you maybe what scaffolding is. You could scaffold language skills, you could scaffold cognitive skills. Basically, what happens is that your child might say, I can't do it, this is too hard. Or they might not say that. It might be language skills. You might have a toddler, like Maggie, right? I think you said 2 years old, and your toddler doesn't have the language skills yet to express themselves. So when it comes to social emotional skills or emotion regulation, actually, you might say, well, my child doesn't really know how to express frustration. What he does is he throws himself on the ground and has a tantrum. How can I scaffold emotion regulation skills that are at his level? Well, first he needs the language. So you're starting with the most basic part of what they need to learn, that goal, right? So here you see the image of the little boy at the top, and he's like, I did it. That's because you've provided as the parent the steps to make it to the top. An example I like to give for this type of for this scaffolding is a child who builds a tower with blocks. So I think I'd have to look back at the developmental milestones, but I think it's at age 2 they might have to build or maybe 3, age 2 or 3, they have to be able to build, or they should be able to build a tower with, I think, 2 or 3 blocks that doesn't fall. But this might be frustrating for a child because if they keep piling it up or building that tower and it falls, there's a good chance they have a tantrum because they're frustrated and they don't know how to express that. So there are 2 things you need to scaffold there as a parent. How do you model how you respond to the feeling of frustration. So you have to do that. Then second, you might have to scaffold how to build a tower with your blocks. And it starts at the beginning, encouraging them when they're very young. And even if they only put two, say, hey, you did it. Let's see. Oh yeah, you put them close together. You're tightening them. I like that. So being able to speak out loud. And I know as parents, I know that we need our kids to play sometimes so that we can do things and get things done. However, when we are with them, knowing all of this, knowing how to scaffold, knowing how to look for certain cognitive skills and to support those really helps our child later on. And that's what school readiness is, about preparing them. So this is what scaffolding is in general. Now, the example that I had here for you, which one did I have up? Oh, I went too far. It had pink on it. Okay, I don't remember the one that I had up for you guys, but let's just look at scaffolding language development. So introducing new vocabulary words. So parents can introduce new vocabulary words by providing labels for items that a child is playing with, using different verbs to describe the action and introducing adjectives to enhance the description of the play activities. So here's a script. So the parent says, what is it that you are using to stir? And the child might say spoon. The parent says, yes, it is a special kind of spoon called a spatula, and it's rubbery at the end. It has a rubbery end. That is how you would scaffold learning new items, right? And so instead of saying it's not a spoon, it's a spatula, using that kind of language really helps a child learn language a lot better. So that's what I wanted to show you for scaffolding. That it's really important to know these things because it helps us support our child. The next thing I wanted to talk about, so that's scaffolding. Also, one more thing with regards to scaffolding, when it comes to emotion regulation skills, which have a big part of play because your child might be crying and getting upset and not sharing. Those are social emotional skills that we have to teach them. Sharing, by the way, for those of you who have young children, it takes time, but it can happen. With my 3 kids, I've had 2 now that had to learn how to share with their older sister. And I can say that it works, it happens. I mean, it'll happen eventually. But the more that we model it and we teach them, we celebrate the times that they share, we really make a big deal about it, and we use the word share a lot. I did with my kids a game where I would call it switch. So I don't know, let's say one child had the pink pen and the other one had the yellow. As a game, when they were playing, I would say, hey, can you switch? And they would switch. That wasn't, it was just to play. It wasn't to teach anything else. And then when I would notice one of the 2 boys were kind of struggling, oh no, sorry, that was with my first 2. When I would notice that my son was trying to take something away from my daughter, I would say, hey, let's play switch. You want to switch? And because they knew they would have fun switching, we do it quicker and faster and faster and faster, they would just switch. And eventually I tried to link switching to sharing. You see, this is switching. This is sharing. You have hers and she has yours. So that is how I scaffolded sharing in my house. It worked. Might not work for you, but we have to try everything with our kids. All right. The 4th, where am I at? I'm already at the 5th. So first was simplifying your play space. Then it was replacing your toys with items from around your home. 3rd was not focusing on complicated activities, but looking at it more as categories. 4th was scaffolding, so providing them the steps to make it to the goal that they want. And then the 5th one is to let them lead. I know that it's easy to sit with our kids when we're taking some time to play with them and kind of guide everything or narrate everything that's going on, but it's important to kind of step back and not to question everything that they're doing and not to lead as well, because if they want to pretend that a banana is a phone and you're like, no, you actually have a phone. Here's the phone. It's okay, because that kind of pretend, there are so many types. There's 16 different types of play, by the way. And there's like pretend play and social play, dramatic play, which are all kinds of pretend play skills that we talk about, but there are different goals in each one of them. One, they might be mimicking what we do. Another one, they might be learning social skills. So if you're playing pretend restaurant, but you might be doing social development in that stage. Hi, how are you? My name is Cindy. I work here. How can I help you? Oh, you'd like a muffin? Sure, I'll give you a muffin. So those are the kinds of social skills that they're developing. And for those of you with young kids, I think the most common question I've been asked the past year and a half is, how will young kids develop social skills if they're at home all the time and they're not going out to school or daycare or in parks and so on? They learn them through us. So, especially 3 and younger, they will learn it all from us. It's okay if they're home. So I hope if you were worrying about that you're not anymore. It's okay. 3 to 5 years old, again, they're still learning from us. And what I did with my kids is when we'd go out for walks, I'd say hi to people so that they're comfortable and understand, social skills and saying hi to people. I know that they're strangers, but they understand that when mommy or daddy are there with you, we can smile and say hi to people. And honestly, sometimes the other people struggle to say hi back, or maybe we're not used to it. I'm from Montreal, Canada, and I've been to places in Ontario and in the States where people are like super kind. And I don't know, it's not that Montrealers aren't kind, but sometimes they're not comfortable saying hi. Just my experience. I don't know if anybody else is from Montreal, but anyways, that's what I've experienced. That is it. Oh, I wanted to show you one more thing from the play camp, and I'm going to give me 1 second, and I will give you the code as well in case I forget and in case you do have to go. Where is it? I just want to give you this website. So if you want to see if the camp is for you, here's the website in the chat box, and the code is, I'm not saying it out loud because this is going to be on YouTube. Here you go. All right, so now that is in the chat box, I just wanted to show you one last thing from the play camp, and it's because this is something that we could be doing now in the fall when it comes to playtime, and again, something that helps support our child's development. This is another part of the play camp, and what I like to do is to look at our kids as if they are little scientists. And the reason why is because our children are born curious. And when we nurture or feed that curiosity, it really helps support their cognitive development and their learning. So supporting scientific thinking means we're going to observe, compare, sort and organize, predict, create a little experiment, evaluate and apply. You don't have to do all this, but if you have a 2-year-old, you might just focus on the observing. And here's what I mean. Let's say you go out for a walk tomorrow. Here in Montreal, the leaves are changing color. Everything looks beautiful. You can go out for a walk and start collecting leaves. If you live somewhere where it's very hot, you can collect flowers, you can collect rocks, insects in a container, I don't know, whatever you want to collect. But I love doing this during walks because it provides a child with a sort of goal, and it just creates conversation, right? So let's say we're doing the leaf part. Let's collect some leaves. Bring a little bucket with you. I see a leaf there. Can you pick it up? So if you have a very young child, you're not just pushing them in a stroller, but you're having those conversations with them. I see leaves. Okay, let's say they collected these 3 leaves and that's what you have in their bucket. You can say, let's look at them. Oh, I see that they're green. This one is green, that one is green, and the 3rd one is also green. They're all the same color, right? So we're modeling the language. They might not know. If we have a younger child, it's important not to just say like, what is this? Because they might not know, and then we don't want them to feel like, to block or freeze in that moment. If they're very young and you know that they don't really know what this is, just start by modeling it first, by saying it to them. And that's part of scaffolding. So you might say, this leaf is bigger. Look, let's look at this one and that one. Yeah, this one is much bigger. Or you might say, this one is really small, or this one is torn. So all of that stuff, it might seem silly to you, but this is a simple way and to kind of play with your child. It is a type of play. And it's, again, like for language skills, it's huge. And then once they get older, then you could start comparing. So let's say you collect a whole container of leaves. You might say, can you sit down with me or sit down on your own? Can you maybe see what do they have that's similar? How are they similar? How are they different? What do they have in common? So different ways of trying to show them that some things are similar and some things are different. You could, by the way, you could do this with socks within the house. Who here has 100 million socks that don't have a partner, that don't have a pair? I've collected them and I use them for playtime because I know that there aren't any little friends that match. I keep some of them, and then what happens, because they're colorful, so I might say, can you sort all the socks that have similar colors? Or can you sort the socks that have similar sizes? So I've put a way of keeping those socks and making use of them. And where does the other one go? That is a different question. All right, so comparing, so observing, comparing, sorting and organizing. So yeah, what's the same, what's different? Sorting and organizing is the same, the next step. And the rest, you know, it could be with an older child. I don't want to get into all the details, but I just wanted to share that part with you as well. All right, I think that's it for that part. I am going to turn the camera off in just a second, so that, not the camera off, but the recording. For those of you who are watching from YouTube, thank you for watching an episode. Please subscribe to the Curious Neuron YouTube channel. And you can also visit our website at curiousneuron.com to read our blog posts, to listen to our podcast, to join us on Instagram. You could use the handle at curious_neuron and come learn with us. Everything I do is based on science, and I love translating all the science for you guys. Thanks.